morning, it's Bob Mason from FX Empire and welcome to the daily crypto tech review of Bitcoin, EOS, Ethereum and Ripple's XRP. It is Friday the 10th of July. Jumping straight in and looking at Bitcoin against the dollar and the hourly candlestick. Bearish day yesterday and a bearish start to the day. Going to need to see Bitcoin move through the pivot at 92.92. Support a run at the first major resistance level sitting at 94.09. Going to need to see obviously support from the broader market to break out from 9,300 levels and through to 9,400. Barring an extended rally, that first major resistance level should cap any upside. In the event of a breakout, we expect to see Bitcoin target 9,500, that key resistance level that remains. Failed to break through the pivot, it's going to bring the first major support level sitting at 91.32 into play. Barring extended sell-off, should avoid sub 9,000. Second major support level sits at 9015. Moving across to the daily candlesticks for Bitcoin and the MACD and looking at the trend analysis. We're looking at key resistance and support levels here. Break through the pivot through the resistance levels to 9,500. We then bring this first major resistance level at 97.95 into play. Going to need to see Bitcoin break through to 10,000s and 10,398 to then support that near-term bullish trend. Another bearish day would bring sub 9,000s eventually into play. We got this first key support level at 8855. Break down through there and we'd see a leg down to 8620s, which would then be a bullish trend reversal. So looking at the MACDs, slight narrowing of the histogram, though we are seeing a slight widening on the EMA at the early part of the day. So a move through that pivot and monitoring that MACD and EMA is key for traders on the day. Moving across to EOS against the dollar and the hourly candlestick, slightly bearish start to the day. Going to need to see EOS move through the pivot at 65.50 to support a run at that first major resistance level sitting at 72.68. Going to see support from the broader market for EOS to break back through to 2.70 levels, however. Failed to break through the pivot would bring the first major support level sitting at 58.05 into play. Barring an extended sell-off, should avoid sub 250s. Got the second major support level sitting at 50.88. Moving across the daily candlesticks and the MACD and looking at the trend analysis, 2.90 remains the key resistance level for now for EOS, so going to need to see a break through yesterday's highs and to target 290s. So moving through the pivot level of the day will be key. Failed to break through that pivot and we could see a pullback through to sub 250s, and then you could see this first key support level at 219 come into play, breakdown through 219, and that's a bullish trend reversal. So moving through the pivot will be key on the day. MACD pointing to a possible bullish day ahead, and we're seeing a narrowing of the EMA, the 50 against the 100 and 200. So that's supporting a possible bullish day ahead. Moving across to Ethereum against the dollar and the hourly candlestick. Slightly bearish start to the day here. Going to need to see Ethereum move through the pivot that sits at 242.24 to support a run of this first major resistance level at 247.43. Barring a broad-based crypto rally, that first major resistance level and yesterday's high 247.67 should cap any upside. Failure to break back through the pivot would bring the first major support level sitting at 236.80 into play. Barring extended sell-off, should see Ethereum avoid sub 230s. We've got the second major support level sitting at 231.61. That should limit the downside. Moving across to the daily candlesticks and the MACD for Ethereum and looking at the trend analysis, we're continuing to see Ethereum struggling to break out from 250. So going to need to move through this major resistance level sitting at 253s to then support a breakthrough the 23.6% fib at 257, and that would be a support for the near-term bullish trend. Pull back through today's first major support level at 236.80 would then bring sub 220s and the first key support level at 215s into play. Should that see a breakdown through there, we got 176s, that would then be a bullish trend reversal. Looking at the MACD's possible breakout on the day, we're also seeing a widening of the 50 EMA against the 100 and 200. So a move through the day's pivot level will be key. Moving across to Ripple's XRP against the dollar and the hourly candlestick. Again, slightly bearish start to the day after yesterday's pullback. Going to need to move through the pivot at 2040 to then support a run at the first major resistance level sitting at 2108. Support from the broader market to break back through to 2100, which we have seen to be a bit of a resistance coming in there. So phase break through the pivot would bring the first major support level sitting at 1960 into play. Buying extended sell-off should avoid sub-19s. Second major support level sits at 1892. Moving across to the daily candlesticks and the MACD for Ripple's XRP. Looking at MACD, pointing to a bullish day ahead. We're also seeing the 50 EMA narrow against the 100 and 200, also supportive of a possible move. So Ripple's XRP move through today's pivot at 2040 would support a breakout later in the day. On the trend analysis, going to need to see Ripple's XRP break through the day's first major resistance level at 2108 to then target this first key resistance level at 2152. Breakout through there would then bring the next leg up, which is 2357s, to support that near-term bullish trend. Place back through that pivot and a fall through the support level of the day of 1960 to sub-19s, and then we're seeing this major support level at 1690 coming back into play. So move through the day's pivot would support a bullish day ahead, and the EMA and MACD are suggesting the same.